What's up, everybody? You are listening to Beyond the Breakdown. I am the host, JT, and I am joined tonight by Sam G of Don't Feed the Birds. Sam, how you doing?
What's up, man? It's good to be here. I appreciate you having us on.
Oh, not a problem at all. I'm super stoked for this one, man. This is going to be a fun one. I've been doing a little bit of preparation for this, but don't worry, I'm not going to probe too far.
Yeah, no, you're good. It's all fair game.
So, with that being said, before we get into talking about the band, I want to know what your early beginnings were like. What was it that brought you to the dance?
So, we can going back years on this one. So, I come from a musical family. So, growing up, my grandparents, uncles, there'd be guitars everywhere. My dad is a band director. My mom she sang and plays piano, and you know, it's just always been there. And I remember, I think I was in third grade, I discovered my grandpa's guitar that he had given her. And she didn't play it for whatever reason, but I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. And she was like, well, you have to play an instrument now. So I didn't get a choice. Like, I was just like, playing an instrument. Guitar seemed, whatever, I'll try that. Fast forward a couple years is kind of an interesting one because I actually don't know if she knows this, but my parents got me an electric guitar for my 5th grade Christmas. So that was like the Santa present. I woke up in the morning, and I remember I wanted some toy or something. I don't know what I wanted, but I remember going out like 5 a.m. Like, oh, it's Christmas morning. You run out there and I see this big box and I'm like, what is that? Like, I had no idea what it would be. And I started like opening the wrapper and I was like, oh, this is a guitar. And like my little 5th grade kid brain was like, that's, I don't know. I didn't know how I felt about it, but it's crazy because I started playing it. And at that point I only played acoustic guitar. So it came with a little amp and I was like plucking around, playing some beginner chords or whatever I played back then. And I remember it came with a VHS, like a videotape, and I put it in, and it was like, this is how you do make the sounds. And the guy pushed the little button, like it was kind of a hidden button, a little square distortion button. And he was like, and this is how you do distortion. And I was just like, oh, and that button just blew my mind. And I was like, that's how I make that sound. And I would just sit there for hours just because I discovered that sound. And it just changed my life. Like, it really did. So it's really crazy that's what it was. Because I had been listening to like Santana or like, this was what, 4th, 5th grade, Creed. I don't know, early 2000s rock bands, whatever. I liked a lot of that stuff. And playing guitar, my guitar teachers didn't really know how those sounds were made. I guess there was like no internet at that time, not really. And there was no, you couldn't just go on like Google and figure out how the Breaking Benjamin riff was played, So right. I remember my teachers didn't really know or teach me how that sound or how they were doing all the stuff in those songs. But when I started just trying to figure out by ear, and that's kind of how it was. I played in marching band. I played in the church band, and my brother is a drummer in my band. So he was we're 4 years apart. So like growing up, we wrestled on the couch or whatever, but we didn't really play music until maybe like college age, when we were playing in our church like together. But we had both been in band, marching band, and like, he was played in drumline. So we had a lot of experience. We just didn't really, we were just the age gap, So yeah, just that I played in a bunch of different bands with like my high school friends, and I kind of lived all over the place for college and school. So I tried to start something everywhere. It didn't really pan out until, so I moved to Orlando for Full Sail University. I went to school for audio engineering, and I met a bunch of dudes that were into the same music, and we were like, just doing a project or whatever. And they're like, we should make a band together. And I had some like, I don't know what I was trying to do. I was trying to make some kind of like melodic gent type thing at that time.
Okay.
Yeah, like that's what I was like going for. But the guys, they liked like Seosin, and like I liked that too. But I was more like, at that time I was more like heavy. Like I was like, I want to make
like Meshuggah.
Yeah, I want to make things like that. and maybe with like a melodic chorus, like, but it still has like, and they kind of like one of the guys that was in our group was like an EDM producer. So he was like, oh, we could do all these. Like, I was like, I kind of like this. So like, we just ended up making some music, and it was just, for me, it was just an experiment, because I was like, yeah, I'll play along or whatever. I don't know. And I ended up really liking it. I ended up really, yeah. So I'm the singer and guitar player. So that I was like, honestly, I really like this because I like singing. But if you're playing like in a heavier band, there's like the like heavy vocals, like the screams and stuff with the riffs, and then there might be like the chorus, and that's kind of like it trades off. So that's how I was already like, I was kind of intending it to be more like that. But they're like, well, this is not a heavy song all the time. We need more singing. So I was like, I could try that. I'm like, whatever. So that's kind of how I got into this. Like this band, Don't Feed the Birds, was completely just a random experiment from the beginning. It's not like what I intended on making ever. I just fell in love with it, honestly. I just like the melodic elements, and then I kind of wanted to throw in like heavier riffs and stuff on the like on later down the line or whatever. I don't know, it's always just been an experiment to me, and that's how it's been. But yeah, it's been a long little ride here.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's crazy that distortion button just kind of changed everything for you. Was that
Everything.
your first glimpse of metal?
That's an interesting one. So, I mean, I think maybe I had heard like the riffs and stuff. Human Clay, the Creed's album.
Oh
There's
yeah.
a couple heavy songs on there, like What If and stuff. And I just remember
Yeah.
hearing there's a part at the end of that song that still like hits me, and I'm like, that part's so nasty. And it's like, dun, 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 it's just the guitar, like everything drops out, and it's the one guitar on the side, and it like hits right after. I'm just like, oh, that just was like, it sounds awesome. And
Yeah.
just hearing that distorted tone, and I didn't know what it was that I was listening to. I was just like, oh, it sounds good, but nobody ever told me that's distortion, or how does one make the distortion sound with the pedal or the amp or anything. I was like just a kid. And but once the dude was like, oh, you just push the button, and I heard it, and you could control with the gain knob and everything. So I just cranked it, and I was like, oh, this is what I'm looking for. And then after that, it was just, I mean, it was a little like 50 watt, not even 50 watt, like a 10-watt tiny amp, and it sounded terrible. But after that, that's what I was like, I want that sound. How do I get it better? Because it sounded close, but it was still kind of like rough.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you've ever played those like 5-watt beginner amps, there's just, honestly, they're a lot better now. But like back in the day, like they just sounded atrocious and just thin and scratchy. And yeah, so that's,
Yeah.
it's everything. It's that
I
sound.
I tried my hand at guitar. That was actually the very first instrument I ever tried.
Mhm.
And I had an electric, and I'll never forget the amp I had. It was a 20-watt orange crate, and
Mm.
I wanted to throw it against a wall so
Yeah.
many times.
It's a crazy thing, man. Like it's so overwhelming to get in. Like it's like you just play guitar, right? But when you play electric, or like try to get into like the tones, and like it's just so overwhelming. And especially if you don't have somebody, like we have YouTube, but even YouTube is just so crazy. Like they're just showing you quad cortex and like all this stuff that you're not ready to deal with. And you're just like, I just want to make the sound. Like, how do you make that? And it's been a journey, man. Like I got into like line 6 amps after that, and like people were like, no, you need to play a tube amp, and so I got into that stuff. And but yeah, it's been a ride. But no, I feel you there. Like that little amp that you get at the beginning, oh, that's distortion, but it's like not
It's
not
yeah.
it. You're like, what's wrong with this? How come it doesn't work? Yeah, I know that feeling.
You go to do a heavy riff, and it just sounds like some British crunch rock
Yeah,
record.
some
And I'm
British
like,
crunch, and it's just
oh
like
my god!
paper tearing or something. It's just like, yeah, no, I know.
Not
Yeah,
that there's anything wrong with that, just not what I was aiming
yeah,
for. But
no, for sure.
so going into Don't Feed the Birds, I gotta ask you, that is the most interesting name I have heard in a very long, long time.
Is the
Um,
honestly, like looking back, like this was completely just, I don't say like happenstance, but like I feel like things happen for a reason. But this was just, it's like somebody put something in a can, shook it up, and just dumped it all, and that's what this is. It's a complete experiment, and we made whatever out of whatever. Like that's just what it is. I usually dodge this question, but I'm feeling a little like open today, so I'll tell you what the story is.
Okay.
Um, yeah, people always that's our number one question. Why that name? The second question is, why don't you have a bass player? And I'm like, well, normally it's just like people trolling in the comments. So I'm just like, well, the birds took the bass player, and that's why we don't feed them.
That why you don't feed
That's it.
them?
They're like, we want to know more. And I don't know. Maybe I'll make some kind of like animated video, or I don't know. But so at Full Sail, I was in a like, it's like a digital, I don't know. We had like a digital learning class where we learned about like digital things. Like it's kind of vague, but we had a project where we had to do like MythBusters, like the show.
Oh
So
yeah.
we took a urban legend and we had to either prove it or disprove it. So in our case, we got this one that said birds would explode if you fed them uncooked rice. So I've heard that before, and I was like, oh, I'll try that. That sounds like something. So I looked it up, and it's like, no, they don't. It's not true. And I was like, really? Because I've heard that before. And so essentially, we had to make like a video thing, essentially like an episode. And so we went out to the beach and we threw rice at birds, and nothing happened, and whatever. And so obviously at the beach they have all the "Don't feed the birds" signs, and I didn't think of anything of it at the time, but so we had to make a little like intro song, and I was just like, oh, I'll make some kind of like Kill Switch riff or something. I just like, we threw it together. We like, oh, that sounds good. And they're like, but what do we call the band? And they're like, how about like the signs are like right there, like, oh, how about that? How about "Don't feed the birds"? Because we were at the beach, and I was just like, sure, whatever. And I don't know. I was just like, whatever. It's random. And I don't know. The teacher and everybody really liked it. And they're like, oh, and if you want to be like "Don't Feed the Birds" over here that did this and this and this in their project. And so like that's like how we became whatever that was. Like they called us that. And so we're like, yeah, let's put that in the credits. And we did. And then the guys were like, you want to make a band? And I was like, I guess. So yeah, long story, but we started in Orlando. So it's very like beach vibes, whatever. We went to the beach all the time. I met some of my best friends through this band. Obviously, I play drums with my brother, and the other guitarist right now wasn't our original guitarist. So through just like doing band life, we played shows, we did all that stuff, and people like came and went. I forgot what happened, but we decided to just like kick out the bass player, whatever. It was like we just had differences, and he was like wanted to go a certain way or whatever. And we're just like, I don't know if this is working. So, and I was like, well, what if I just backtrack the bass? Because it's not like they're doing like shredding bass lines or anything. And we're just like, because we already had like the synthy stuff, so we had like backtracks or whatever for that, and we just threw it on, and we just became a 3-piece. And that's kind of just how it's just stayed. So after that, things kind of like, went their ways, and we decided to come back to Texas. So I'm in San Antonio right now. That's where we're from. So I'm from here, not San Antonio, but Texas in general. And so essentially it was just me left, and I was just like, well, I still want to do this. Let's just my brother plays drums. Let me get that guy. And the other guitarist, Oakley, we played with him in church a lot. So that's kind of how we got to know him. He actually moved to Orlando because I was like, dude, you should come do music over here. It's sick. And he did sound for us on tour and stuff, and helped us through a lot of things. And I was like, well, you want to play guitar? And he's like, yeah, let's do it. And so that's how it is. It's been a long ride, but at this point I'm with the people that I just trust, like I've known them all my life at this point, and we've just been through everything together. So I mean, that's what everybody wants for a band, just people that understand them. And like, you can have your differences, you can have your like, no, this song sucks, or like, we shouldn't do this, we should do this. But they're like still in your corner, and
Yeah.
I think that's the thing that people don't understand about bands is like, you don't just get a bass player, you don't just get a new singer. Linkin Park is a great example of that. You don't just replace somebody. There's like, nobody's replacing anybody. You have to have like that connection, it's you like, and I think just people don't understand that. But I'm not trying to get a bass player anytime soon. So
I mean, it sounds like you got all the bases covered on that, pun intended.
pun
But
intended.
no,
I like that.
A lot of people, like you said, though, I'm the same way with the band I'm a part of. There's that huge camaraderie factor, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that bleeds into your live performance. And when you have that kind of chemistry, the crowd can tell too. The crowd can tell if you're like looking at each other trying to figure out what the heck you're doing, or if you're in sync. So that leads me to the next question, which is, what is a Don't Feed the Birds live show like?
We recently started doing it's interesting because I had a friend that was taking some pictures the other night. This is kind of something we started doing recently. Well, we all wear Hawaiian shirts.
Okay.
It's just random. Like, again, all this stuff is just like, I don't know, whatever. People said this, like, I don't know, let's try that. So last year we went on a short little tour with some other dudes, other bands from our area, and we called it the Sweat Fest. And it was, I mean, South Texas in summer, that's hot. Like, it's literally a sweat fest. We played at like 11 p.m. and we were just sweating, just pouring sweat. It was outside and stuff, whatever. But that's kind of like the theme. So we just threw on the beach attire. It's kind of interesting because it's like, we're a beachy band. Like, we have that, like, that's like where we came from, I guess. And I was like, yeah, that'd be cool. And for whatever reason, people just like loved it. And I was just like, that's what you guys want? Like, we're just wearing Hawaiian shirts, like, it's not even that crazy. And they're just like, yeah, the shirts are sick, bro. That's sick. And I'm like, I love the shirts. Like, we got more comments on our shirts than we did on our music. And they're like, yeah, your songs are sick, but your shirts. And I'm like, that okay. So I mean, that's what we do.
It's like, go see Don't Feed the Birds. You can't wait to see their Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah, that's literally everything. And I don't know. I'm just whatever. I'm definitely not a super serious person. Like, I'll literally joke at a funeral if I have the chance. But like, we don't have a dark message. We don't have a dark, like, we have parts that sound dark. Like, I can show you this Christmas Mariah Carey cover I'm working on, and my girlfriend was like, that sounds sinister. And I was like, yeah. But like, we're not like a dark, like, brooding type of band. Like, most of our sound is like bright sounding. So I mean, like, I was like, that fits perfectly. Like, we're not trying to just be like the darkest guys in the room, or it's just something different that kind of just stems from us just being like goofs. Like, we're just joking all the time about like whatever. There's never, like, if you see our chat, like, we're not serious about anything. Like, everything is fair game, and it's just like, bro, how could you joke about that? But we're laughing about that at the same time.
Oh,
like,
yeah. Dark humor all the way.
So I'm just like, I don't know. I really want to project that in like what we do, even if our music is like, heavy in some parts, melodic, it has the contrast, but it's like, it's all in fun. It's all in like a positive like vibe. But yeah, we spin around and do all the moves and stuff. I don't know. It's pretty fun live. It's tiring. It's sweaty. I'll say that. It's a sweaty show. It's a sweaty experience. So,
well,
dude,
it sounds like, yeah, it definitely sounds like you give your all at the shows.
Oh yeah, we don't actually play a lot of live shows. Our guitarist Oakley lives in our hometown in McAllen, which is like a border town. We live up here, so me and my brother, we're just a three-piece. So it's like us two up here, and then he lives down there. So recording wise, I produce everything. So I have to like send him the ideas or whatever, like, what do you think about this? Like these lyrics. The guys usually don't have too much like that, trash that, or we shouldn't do that. Like they're pretty like, yeah, that sounds fine or whatever. Like it sounds cool. And then my brother will like, tweak his drums. Like we should play this fill here, or, Oakley was like, make this tone sound more with delay or, whatever. He'll track his parts. He'll send them back. Everybody's, pretty tight on their own schedules.
Mhm.
So it's, just making it work like that. I do like playing shows, but we don't really get the chance to do it a lot. So like when it's time to play, it's time to play. And yeah, so that's how it is for us.
So, with that being said, about not getting to play too many shows, what is currently on the docket for 2025 as a band?
So we do have one show scheduled. I'm definitely trying to put another tour together. We've had a lot of success recently. This is going to be surprising, but selling CDs, like
Really?
physical discs. Um,
Whoa!
yeah, it's pretty wild. So a
Did
lot
you
of
like bribe a genie?
sometimes it feels like that. The Meta Facebook genie, yeah, we'll call it
Yeah.
that. But it's honestly it's been really cool. There's still a demand for CDs. I, as a producer, as a like audio engineer, when I export the mix from the session, I put it on a CD and I listen to it in my car on the CD player, because the way it sounds is like, you don't like the experience, like you don't get that. Like Bluetooth, like earbuds, phone speaker, it doesn't do it. When you put it in the CD in the car, it's like it connects directly to the speakers, and then the sound
Yeah.
is just so much. Like you just feel it, you hear it, it sounds awesome. And that's a thing that I really miss. So I was like, we have these CDs. Does anybody want them? Because we've had them for like a long time. And I was like, y'all want to buy some CDs? And people wanted to buy CDs. So probably going to be doing a lot more CDs. Like I think it's cool to have something that we can sign, or that you can get signed, that you can physically hold in your hand. You can see the artwork like up close. It's not some tiny picture. It's something else. Like I really enjoy holding the CD that, then when it comes in the mail and I'm like, wow, this is what this actually looks like. This is real. But yeah, so I've been sending a lot of CDs to like the East Coast and like some places that we haven't been to in a long time. And I really want to get out there and play to those people who have supported us and encouraged us, and joined with us on our voyage of the band life.
Yeah.
Whatever this weird thing it is that we do. But yeah, that's my goal. I want to get out and tour again. I want to do it in a small amount of time so that we can do our thing throughout the year, and then we can bring it all together, and we can set aside, like, we're going to play these shows together. We can like live our band dreams, and just be our goofy selves and hang out with each other, because as much as they are my bandmates, they're also my family. Like at this
Yeah.
point, like my brother and like a dude that I've known for like 15 years at this point. So yeah, there's a lot of that. So yeah, that's what I want to do in 2025. I also am writing, or I guess we're writing an album.
Ooh.
The other thing that I miss about the whole CD is when you go stream a song on Spotify, it's like a song, and for whatever reason it like has the album, but it always throws in like other songs from the artist that are just kind of like there. And that always like irritated me, because I want to listen to it like in album form.
Mm-hmm.
I want to hear like this piece and this piece, or like, why is this song here? It's not on this album. Like, I don't want that. When you actually have the CD, there's a lot more flow to like your art form. You start here, you go down this way. The thing that I honestly miss, there's a lot of I remember Born of Osiris had an album, The Discovery.
Oh
And
yeah.
those songs, there was a lot of songs in the album, but a lot of them were like interludes that go between and they were just sick. They just sounded so cool. And I would just put that CD on in the car and just be driving like start to finish. It's a journey. There's so much to it that we're missing with the whole like streaming or even just playlists. And like I personally miss that. I'm sure a lot of people that grew up with CDs miss that, because I remember like just I have collections of CDs, you know, like I think it's just something that we just don't do anymore. And I think people are kind of realizing that, and like we want that still. But yeah, so my goal with this is to make an album that has some of those interludes and like things that go from start to finish, that have that journey through it, you know. But yeah, so the other thing is I write so many songs. Like I have so many songs. I have enough for 2 albums easy.
Oh
But
man.
in the current like musical format, we release singles, you know. But if I
Mhm.
release a single every week or something, like it's like kind of diminishes the like what the song is, because it just throws it out there, you know. So also having an album format is an outlet for me to just get it all out there, and there's like enough. I have enough in the chamber to like do it again in a short period of time. So I don't know. I'm excited to do that, because some of these songs I've been sitting on for a long time, because of like the whole like release cycle needs to be like, you need to make content and you need me to do this and you got to do that. And, you know, getting into doing that, and it takes away the time that I could spend finishing these other songs. But also, if I make too many songs, then I can't put them out in time. They're like 10 years old or something.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like that weird balance that I'm trying to figure out, that it's just like, yeah. But I think so. I've been kind of like discussing it with my bandmates, and I think what I'm going to do, what we're going to do, is kind of get a CD that has the album and release that at an earlier time. So if you want it, you can just get it and you can binge it all now. But the
Yeah.
other songs will still come out on streaming, so that we have something to like, if you don't do CDs, whatever. But that way you can do the content or whatever. But there is that physical thing that you can always go back and get. And yeah, it's kind of crazy that after doing this, I remembered how much I truly like CDs. Like it's just different. Like we don't have that experience anymore. But
We don't. It's there's like this lack of intimacy when you're listening to music
yeah,
versus when I was a kid. I don't know exactly how old you are. I'm 34, so I mean I grew up listening to Creed, Linkin Park, all that
yeah,
stuff, you know.
heck yeah,
I,
yeah.
putting headphones on and just like, you know,
Hmm.
being in my own world, feeling like that album was meant just for me because
Yeah,
nobody else could hear it, right? And as a storytelling artist, I completely agree. You lose a lot of the feeling that the albums are trying to tell you when you're listening to it on streaming, because you'll either get ads or you'll get other songs mixed in between, and it sucks so bad.
yeah. It just feels so disconnected.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. And not to take too much more time. I know we gotta get you out of here in about 20 minutes, I think is what you.
yeah. You good? You
Yeah.
good?
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. I don't want to keep you too long, but I would be remiss if I didn't ask you, what has the change in sound been like since your
Mm.
EP back in what 2015? It was a
Yeah,
Hatchling.
yeah.
Um, and dude, you had some really great songs on there.
Thank you, man.
I was listening to it quite a bit earlier. My favorite on there is probably Burn.
Yeah,
Uh, dude. But going from that to, you know, Lighthouse and Sunrise, there's still the band that I was listening to, but there's this tonal difference. Of course, it's
yeah,
age, you know,
yeah,
but what's that shift been like to be still making music almost 10 years later?
yeah. The hatchling stuff was awesome. It has such it always takes me back to that time when we were making it. The guys in the band were different at that point, but I wrote most of the songs. Honestly, I wrote all the songs in that one. The first one, the lyrics were done by our guitar player, and he was actually an awesome lyricist. Like he was really good. Um, so Burn was actually the very first one, and I can literally send you the demo that I
Oh man.
showed the guys that one. Yeah, I'll literally send it to you. But I was, yeah, that's the one that I was like, I don't know, let's try something. Like I was thinking, let's not do gent or whatever was like I was doing at that time. So I had to like kind of put a different kind of stipulation on what I was writing at that point, because I was like, well, let's not do super downtuned guitars. Let's keep it 6-string. It was like drop B or something. And I was just like, well, how can I incorporate like this other sound to kind of put it that way, and with the like electronic sounds and with just like so like that EP was, I don't know, I guess I was kind of inspired at that time in a different way because I was not allowing myself to do something specific,
Mm-hmm.
that it took it kind of in a different way. Yeah, but definitely, I mean, you just get influenced by so many different things. And you're right, like Lighthouse and Sunrise are pretty drastically different. But doing all of that, I wanted it to be like our sound, but it's drastically this and drastically that. But it's still like that's what you would expect from us.
Yeah.
And Lighthouse and Sunrise are definitely, I feel, some of our best stuff in that way, but also as a, like songwriting and a lyricist and like crafting melodies and all that stuff. I think like obviously I would hope that I'm the best that I've ever been at this point. And that's really the direction that our album is kind of shaping up to be, just some kind of like it goes in this, but then it just goes that, but it's not like disjointed. It's one sound that goes between the like ambient electronic little pieces, but it's also got like shredding solos and a part that just came from like a trap bridge or something, you know, just like putting those pieces together and just trying to make it like as its own thing. I honestly just wanted our stuff to be crazier, just not having any limits, and just like if I want to go super drop tuned, I can. If I don't want to scream, that's fine too. But I think one thing that, because when Hatching came out, there was other bands that did like electronic stuff, like Attack Attack or whatever, and they had some cool songs. But I always felt like when the electronic part came out, it was so disjointed because it had like da 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 da, and then dee doo doo dee doo, like that part would just come out of nowhere, and it wouldn't be like intermingled with the riffs or the anything that came before it. It's like it was a completely different sound, and maybe that's what they were going for, like a stark contrast. But that's what made me not like it. Like I wanted it to sound like it was blended, and that was what I was trying to do with Hatchling. And I kind of like pushed myself on the electronics element, because by the time that part happened, or by the time we were like tracking the EP, the guy who did the EDM stuff had left.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I had to fill his shoes, because I was like, well, I still want to do this. I just have to learn how to make all those sounds, like in Logic or using Massive or, you know, any of those things. So I remember staying up forever. My friends would be like, Sam, come skate with us. And I was like, no, I got to learn how to do these like EDM noises. I remember there was many nights like that. And I was like, cause like, I don't want this to just go to waste. I was already inspired by that time, and I wanted to like keep it going. But yeah, it's definitely been it's just so much time has passed, and I think that is good, because I've had a lot of practice doing like making songs or producing other bands or whatever, that you just learn from doing whatever, and you just get comfortable in doing the thing that you feel comfortable doing, if that makes sense. Like at the beginning, it's like, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that. But then they're like, why not? Let me just try it. I mean, you try it and it wasn't that good. But when you try it the second time, it went a little bit smoother. And you're just like, oh, I'm getting the hang of this. So at this point, I feel like that's where I am in the like songwriting process. And I think that's where we are as a band, because we already know like what each other brings to the table. I've already learned from my bandmates, like Oakley is a sick guitar player, like tone wise, like the tones that he makes sound awesome. The ambient leads and the things I learned from that guy, because he just thinks in a different way. He has different influences, you know? So like knowing his style, I can kind of incorporate that. Knowing how my brother plays drums, I can incorporate that. Knowing his vocals versus my vocals, you're just able to blend and create a little bit better, the more you do it, and the more you're just around the same people. And I think that's why I would never want to change what's happening, because I've already been like, we've already learned each other. And now we kind of have just like this flow that goes on, especially like live too. Like we already know, oh, did this happen? Whoops, we'll just do this. Or, oh yeah. It's like we look at each other, we're like, oh yeah, okay. We already know
Mm-hmm.
exactly what's happening. There was we played, I remember last year we were in Corpus, and there was something that happened, like we couldn't hear in our, like in our ears. There's like, we hear the tracks or whatever, and for whatever reason we couldn't hear it, and like the drums got off slightly, and like the guitar was like following the drums, but like I could hear it, and I looked at my brother, and we were just like, okay, and we just finished the part even though it was off, and then we waited for like the little ambient thing in the back to kick in, and then like I started singing, and then everybody was like, oh, we get it. But it's, if it had been anybody else, they would have been like, oh, what's happening, we don't know, like it's nothing's working. But it's just like you get that flow, and you're able to connect in that way, and it's just different. There's nothing that you can really substitute that with, other than just experience and just doing it and hitting your head a bunch of times together, and like really just understanding each other at the drop of a hat.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It goes back to what we were talking about with the chemistry that you feel with your band.
Mm-hmm.
I know that that's a pivotal thing too, because like you said, knowing the parts of the song as well to be able to get back into rhythm is
Mm-hmm.
is vital.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really cool that you guys can do that literally at the drop of a hat. You don't hear that very often, especially if you're using tracks. Um,
Yeah.
I've had some people
You-
say that, tracks can be a little bit of a detriment at times because
yeah.
they can get off sync.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they can ruin you as much as they like enhance your show. And we've just been through it at this point, man. Like I have stories about the tracks, and I have stories about like people booing us, and like it's not, you don't know, nothing gets you closer together than having those experiences. Like you collectively, like that hurt, like you're not gonna make that mistake again, or just like it sticks in your head so much, that you just are prepared if it does happen. So
Yeah.
yeah, there's some funny stories I could tell you. We'll save that for next episode though.
Oh, absolutely. Liars Pacifist podcast, my buddy Will Brawley. He said, I do not know your band, Sam. Excited to dive in.
Hey, excited to have you, bro. I appreciate
Absolutely.
you.
So yeah, going back to the EP and then going into the current stuff as well. Like when I first heard the EP, it almost reminded me of, I don't know if you ever listened to them, but For All Those Sleeping.
Yeah, I've heard a couple songs by them. Okay.
It reminded me of them and a little bit of I See Stars back in like
Yeah.
2015.
Heck yeah. Icy Stars was definitely one of the ones that they were doing the whole electronic thing. And they were like, between them and Attack, they were, not a lot of people did that. Like they might
No,
have like a synthy like breakdown, but they definitely started like taking it to another level. And I was very much influenced by that. I think it's kind of funny how the Hatching EP came out, because I was trying to make it not heavy, as weird as that sounds. I
really?
was trying to make it like Skrillex meets Seosin, like some kind of like alty, but like it just, I don't know. That's why I think it's such an interesting thing to listen to. Like I even listened to this and I'm like, why did I write that? Or like, I don't know. It was such an experiment, and it just came out how it did. Like that's just who we were, I guess, like it just what it is. Um yeah. But yeah, there's definitely a couple of like gent style breakdown things that happen, randomly, or so I had to.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, So yeah, going into your current stuff, like when I was listening to Sunrise and Lighthouse, I got a Currents kind of vibe, or
Yes.
the color morale even,
Mm.
and I was like, oh, this is a tonal shift, but at the same time, it really really works. Like the chorus on Lighthouse and Sunrise, oh my god, dude, those are incredible.
Thank you. Yeah, I learned a lot from my previous I guess like I don't want to say like habits, but as a guitar player, I was a guitar player before I was a vocalist. So
Hmm.
that's the first thing I always wrote songs with. I would just do some riff. And as I went, I felt like I was writing the same riffs over and over, or like this song sounded like this song sounded like, and I was like, that's the same thing again. How many times can I do this to where it's different, but it's the same? Like it just kind of, um, yeah, it just kind of like I didn't want to do it that way. So I went to school for music, like I was a music major. So we learned piano, and I hate playing piano. I hate playing piano, but it's a great tool to kind of like see like the chords and like the melodies and how they like
Hmm.
comes together. As a vocalist, that I just play the chords and I sing the notes, and I'm like, oh, I need to sing this note instead of that note. So I mean, that's really where I think I've improved a lot of my songwriting. Like I don't start with guitar, I start on the piano. And as much as I dislike playing the piano, like there's just something about the piano that I just never liked. Maybe because I heard like cheesy '90s piano, piano songs, and I was
Oh
just like,
yeah.
nah, I'm not, that's not for me. But like, yeah, I mean, I use it all the time. Like it's I really like EDM style piano where it's got like that haunting like stuff in the background, and
Mhm.
like I think it sounds sick, but like I don't know, I don't really like playing it. It's just yeah, but I mean I appreciate the ability. But it's yeah. So those songs are written in that way. They're written with chords and just me playing the piano. And it's funny because like some of these songs like they're pretty heavy and like they're meant to be sung like in a distorted like scream like
Mhm.
but it's like still melodic. And like my mom will hear me play, or she heard me play something the other night as I was like mapping it out, and she was like oh, that sounds really nice, that sounds like a nice song. And I'm like, huh, but it's like me like la 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 like on the like it's not supposed to be like a nice song. But I was like, honestly, you're right. Like if a song is good, it can be done in different ways. That's why the whole like pop goes punk covers like do so well. People are all over those because if a song is a hit,
Yeah.
it can be a hit no matter how you dress it up. And it's um yeah, it works. So I mean, I've learned a lot from listening to pop music, or we have a couple of covers that I had to like figure out and learn the Katy Perry song or learn the Taylor Swift song and like analyze what they were doing. And you'd be surprised, a lot of these people do the same things, but they just dress it up different, and it just works. And that's
Yeah.
that's essentially how I'm kind of like figuring these things. So I could do whatever I want on the verse. Like there could be some breakdown, there could be solos, there could be whatever, but like as long as it has the hook. And that's like that's what I've always wanted out of a song. I want that hook. Like
Yeah.
I like August Burns Red, and like I grew up on like I listened to August Burns Red and like As I Lay Dying and like all that stuff. But it always needed that chorus for me. Like I always needed the hook, and that's the part that really like I don't know seals the deal for it for me.
Yeah.
And like these days, that's what I want to hear. I want that good. Like I want it to be a rock song, but if it has heavy parts, great. If it doesn't have heavy parts, at least it's like a good hook or something. But yeah, it's yeah, I appreciate that. I think a lot of effort and work went into honing the songwriting craft and like understanding it. Like what makes something catchy? Why do people like things? Why do I like things? So that's awesome that you could appreciate those.
Yeah. It also like it shows that you've matured as a vocalist and as a
Mhm.
songwriter as well. You can hear the more control over your tonation and
Yeah.
the way you say things and everything. And I was just amazed at the way it sounded, and I thought it was really like honestly, I don't use the whole word very often, but the chorus was very beautiful
Thank
on
you.
Lighthouse and Sunrise. I sadly have not gotten to dive into the rest of what you all have, but I really, really want to. I checked out, like I said, the Hatchling EP and those two, and I'm really stoked to check it out. Liars Pacifist said Linkin Park and their remix album Reanimation is a great example
Yeah.
too of how songs can transcend when done other ways.
Yeah.
Um, and then Firehound
Ooh.
Gaming, how are you feeling about the As I Lay Dying break?
Ah, that's a touchy one. I mean,
Yeah,
As I Lay Dying is like one of the like cornerstone bands of like, you know, my musical influence. Like I listened to everything they ever did, like start to finish, B-sides, everything. They were definitely one of my favorite bands. Um, I mean, it's tough. Like
It is.
people do what they got to do, and some people are just hurting beyond what can be fixed. You know, like
Yeah.
it's tough. Like I don't know. I just remember being. I remember that when like Tim got like, you know, accused of all that stuff, and I was just like shocked. You know, like this dude that I've grown up, and he's been such a like like he like being like a Christian band and stuff. Like he was always solid with all that stuff. You never heard of him doing crazy things or like, and then crazy stuff comes out. You know, I don't know, but
It's
yeah,
it
it's
sucks, man.
tough.
It really does. Like it kind of ruins the body of work that they did, and I hate it because they had some really great ones.
Mhm.
I found them around the same time as like August Burns Red,
Yeah.
uh, and things like that. But not to veer too far off. I know I got just a few more questions for you, and then I will let you go. Um, So the next thing I want to ask you is, like you said earlier, your message is not dark by any mean, but I feel like you also tackle some dark
Mhm.
subject matter in
Yeah.
your songs, in a positive reflection. So what is it like to kind of use that as your outlet?
It's I I can never, so if I'm ever in a bad mood, I'm unable to sing. I cannot physically do that because I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know if it's just like a physical thing, like it just tightens my throat, but it's just like I don't want to do this. If I go through like, and I think that's a different thing because I mean, I guess like the whole like emo or like that kind of era, like they're singing sad songs or whatever, but they're singing angry songs. They're singing. I feel like I cannot do that. Like that is not the energy that I project when I play music. The thing that I'm looking for in music, it's interesting because my going back to the troll comments, like one of our like posts is like looking for some positive music or something, you know, positive heavy music. All right, so
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of like a little bit polarizing there because a lot of heavy music is an outlet, right? It's like it is what it needs to be. But I'm kind of just like leaning on this like other thing, and like people hate that for whatever reason. They're just like, I don't want positive music. I want music that makes me feel something. And I'm like, that's not like those are different things.
Yeah.
And my brother was like, I guess they've never watched an anime before. And the way he described it, I was like, that's exactly what it is that I'm looking for. Like as I make music. So like one of the recent ones that I was watching is My Hero Academia, and
Yes.
that show's crazy, man. Like
Dude, I love that show.
all the cliffhangers, all the stuff that happens, you're just like, no, like it's literally just like crazy. It's so dark, but at the end, when like All Might or Endeavor, they're just like, we won, we did it. Like that's the feeling
Yeah.
that I'm looking for when I project this like music. That's the feeling that I want to hear in the music. And that's the feeling that I guess when I discovered In Flames, that was
Dude,
another one of my all-time favorites for sure. In
same,
Flames is
dude.
awesome. Yeah. They're so melodic, and but like it was still heavy, and it was still like they always had this vibe of like that same vibe that I'm saying, like when the hero like the hero's all like busted up and stuff, you know, he basically just almost died, but he like, you know, stands above the villain, and he won, and you're like, oh, I can't believe that happened. That feeling, that's what I'm looking for in the music, and that's what In Flames gave me. That's what that like melodic heavy music did for me.
Yeah.
um I remember I started like everybody does, they somebody gives them a Metallica, like somebody burned me a Metallica CD, and I was like, this is kind of cool, but it was like it's all right. I didn't get why people were so obsessed with it. And like as I went through like my, you know, musical journey, I got into like Children of Bodom or like In
Yeah.
Flames, and I was like, this stuff is crazy. This sounds awesome. Like the melodic element, but it was so like heavy and like aggressive and shredding, and Like that's what got me into metal. So like that's that same feeling. I honestly I could feel it in different genres once I figured out it's like that melodic element that's not like light. You know, it's like a heavy melodic, like dubstep and stuff does that for me. Like any of those like heavy like EDM type genres. So it kind of made me branch out into things like that. But that is the energy that I'm trying to project. And I don't know. I just don't. I can only listen to bands or songs that like say I hate this or this person did me wrong like so many times. And that's just like me personally. Like I understand, like I get it, but I don't like feeling sad or angry or like I want to feel like I just won. Like
Yeah.
that's the energy that I want. But yeah, that's an interesting one.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see how people perceive you or like but somebody I remember like when this one comment was like metal is supposed to be ugly and disgusting,
No, it's
and I was like fair, but like I don't know, like it's the stuff people comment is crazy, man. It's hilarious.
and people hate what they don't understand,
Mhm.
and like to me, I think one of the most metal things you can do is like rise above everything that you're going through and make
Yeah.
music about conquering every single
Yes.
human that you go through.
That's what's like I oh, okay, I don't know. It's interesting to see this because like it is a different thing. And like our origins are just different. What we do is just different. Our personas are like a lot of metal dudes are like really chill and really like goofy, but
Yeah.
like but it's just like I don't know, we just have a different take. We just have a different I don't know, that's just what we are and that's what we do. But yeah, going back to the Hawaiian shirts. So
Hey, I mean, Adam D from Killswitch does it, so I mean, why can't you guys, right?
I mean, maybe that's what I'm inspired by, like Adam D, Killswitch, like another one of my all-time favorites. Like they're
Right?
just wild and wacky and super melodic and catchy. That I guess that's just what I'm carrying, trying to carry that legacy. Like that's what inspired me, and that's what I
Yeah.
want to inspire people with. That's yeah,
Well,
Adam D.
dude, he's a legend, man. He's
Yeah,
just.
legend.
So we are at the final two questions, man.
Yeah,
Thank you so much again for your time, Sam.
no problem, man.
This has been a blast.
Yeah, dude.
Um,
Yeah.
I would love to have you back for another episode in the future, even if we could do like a full band one, or if it's just me and
Yeah.
you. We can.
I'll get the boys in and they can tell you some stories.
Yeah. So here's the first question, and that is, where can everybody find "Don't Feed the Birds"?
So if you're looking for our music, we're on Spotify, YouTube, we're on all that stuff. Like I said, we have CDs, and a lot of the stuff on the CDs is not available for streaming.
Oh,
So it's kind of like it wasn't intended that way. It just happened. Like it just, like I said, like anything else we do is just like it's just how it is. Um, but yeah, if you like CDs, we have them on our website, dftbband.com. We have a show scheduled in San Antonio. So if you are in the Texas area, we will be March 21st. It's a little ways from now, but I'm looking forward to playing some of our new stuff that is under wraps at the moment. But yeah, does that answer that question? Where else can they
yeah.
find us? I don't know.
Yeah. I also
Anime stores, we might be there.
I was
Anime
gonna say,
shops.
I also put the link down for your link tree.
Oh, sick.
Um,
Yeah.
so that anybody who's listening, just follow the link. It will be in the description of the video. Also, Firehound Gaming, he just asked about where the name of the band came from. If you go back to close to the beginning of this interview, Firehound, you will find it. So once the stream actually ends, just kind of backtrack a little bit. I don't want to
You'll
have.
find an extensive explanation of
Yeah.
the detailed origins.
I was going to say, I don't want to put Sam through explaining it all over again.
Yeah.
But he was
It's
gracious enough.
a thing. It's a thing.
It's a beautiful thing. But so here's the last question I ask every single guest this. You went beyond the breakdown with 6 Scars tonight, Sam. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. I'm feeling like I want to go even further.
Dude.
We'll do it again.
Yeah, absolutely. You got a great thing going, man. You got a good head on your shoulders. You're grounded. I can't wait to see what the band does next, and I would love to just be the smallest part of.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you. Man. I'm looking forward to it too, because apparently I don't even know like what happens with us. It's just we're just on this ride and we're just seeing how it works and it's kind of just going for it. But I appreciate you, man. Anytime you want me on, I'm down to come back. It's been a good time. It's been a vibe.
Dude, thank you so much. And
yes, I would go skydiving. Yep. I tell my mom this all the time, and she says, "No, don't do that." And I'm just like, it's weird because I hate heights. It's funny because I've skateboarded all my life, and like I just, for whatever reason, like I just can't do heights. Like even like you ride ramps and stuff like that. But like, I would go skydiving. I want to do a wingsuit, like where you just like a flying squirrels. Yeah. That's so sick to me. I would do that. Dude. Maybe one day. I don't know. I don't know where. I'm probably try harder and go figure out how to get a wingsuit. But you know,
I can't think of a better way to send you off than asking if you would go skydiving from a chat. So, yeah. Sam, dude, this has been amazing. I will hit you up within the next day or two, just as a little bit of a follow up. Thank you so much, and please tell the rest of the band I said hello.
Yeah, I'll let them know. All right, man. I appreciate you so much. This has been a good time. Dude.
Absolutely, man. Have a good one.
You as well.
See you, dude. So, everybody, that was Sam of Don't Feed the Birds. An absolutely incredible interview. Didn't know exactly what to expect, as I never do, but it was a blast. If you enjoyed this, please be sure to subscribe to the Beyond the Breakdown with 6 Scars podcast on Spotify. You can also find it on YouTube. You can find it in all the links down below. For anybody who is watching in the future, hello, future you. I hope you're doing well. Be sure to give this band a follow, give it a like. I can't really think of anything else to say except thank you to the couple people that are on Patreon supporting me constantly. I appreciate you more than you know. The next episode is scheduled for the 15th of this month. So until then, I will see you later.